First one, tourism tax. All right, so we see this article that just came out April 6th today from Airbnb. Hosts and guests generated $17.3 billion in tourism taxes for communities around the world. Hosts and guests in the U.S. have generated $13.5 billion in tourism taxes to governments across the country, including $2.7 billion in tourism taxes collected and remitted in 2025 alone. Really interesting because it seems like this STRs are known for like helping the community, right? But it seems like why we have so much pushback on regulation. Like, why would you take all these billions in taxes but then still want to have regulation? That seems like two backwards thoughts, right?
Yeah. So one, when we started really paying the hospitality tax, the big argument was the people that were pushing back against STRs was the hotel industry, saying, hey, listen, we have to pay these hospitality taxes. We have to charge these hospitality taxes to our guests. And all these short-term rental hosts are popping up and they're not having to pay. So Airbnb was a big, they actually pushed this forward very well with working with a lot of municipalities and with a lot of different groups and saying, hey, listen, we will help collect these taxes. We'll start if that's the argument against short-term rentals, charge the tax, charge the hospitality tax. We agree, right? There are guests coming in, they're using the resources, they're using the infrastructure of these areas, and they're wear and tear on some of the, the municipalities and whatever you have in that area. And so let's charge a tax that pays for that, right? And so there's different levels of regulation. One, the tax is there too, because they're like, think about like any of your major like short-term rental destinations. We have these peak seasons, right? And so if there's a peak season at the beach in Destin, for example, and all of a sudden the summertime, the population grows from, the regular local residents to, sometimes 5 or 6 times the amount of people using the streets and the resources and the infrastructure. So they have to have the money to go hire more cops, invest in different, all those different resources that everybody's going to be using, those public resources and the infrastructure that is there. And so there's more wear and tear on the stuff that's just, roads, it's more wear and tear. They got to repair more stuff, but they also need people, right? We need more cops. We need more regulators. We need people out there saying, hey, listen, something goes wrong. We've got to have some cops and some law enforcement out here, patrolling. We need more lifeguards, whatever it is. Right. So those taxes, are helping fund that stuff. Right.
Right.
The other thing is regulations. You also have the flip side of that where like, hey, listen, this is a vacation destination. Right. And like, I think of an area that one of my very first short-term rentals is in Bear Lake, Utah. And it's a backyard resort community, northern Utah, lake community. And it was primarily a second home market anyways. It was a vacation home market. Not a lot of people are living up there. People go up there in the summertime specifically. Like, I mean, you can snowmobile in the wintertime, but it's like a summertime market. And as short-term rentals started to increase and as the popularity of it started to increase, this area got, it blew up. There's cabins everywhere, and they're saying, hey, listen, we gotta slow this down. So you're like, well, why would they? It's a vacation market. Right. The restaurants rely on these visitors. It's a huge part of their tax revenue and their tax base. The issue is the infrastructure that is currently there can't handle any more visitors. Like it can't handle. Moab was a similar situation. They're like, hey, listen, we can't handle the people that are already coming down here as far as our public infrastructure is concerned. And so they have to regulate. And so there is some smart regulation saying, hey, listen, this is too big of a drain on the system. This is too big of a, this is too many people coming in and using all the resources at one time. And so we can't handle it. So so you have that part of the regulation side saying, hey, listen, and to me, that makes sense. Yeah, it's responsible. Like you go, like I sold we've had multiple properties in Bear Lake, Utah. I don't own one anymore because it just got too crowded. You can't even drive up and down Main Street anymore. You can't do this. And that's my opinion. Some people love the crowds. Like Teresa and my father-in-law and my wife, they loved going up there they love the people. They love the hustle and bustle and everything else.
No, I want to get away from
stuff.
Right.
I wanted to get away. Right. But it was truly an infrastructure problem. Moab was more of a well-known market that a lot of people have heard about, because of the national park, Arches National Park, and that area down there. And all of a sudden they're saying, hey, listen, we don't have the dumps to support this. The sewer systems can't support this. We don't have the roads can't handle all this stuff. So there's an infrastructure problem.
Yeah.
Then you have the regulation side where the local residents throw a fit and say, "Hey, listen, I don't want this. I don't want short-term rentals. We bought this as a vacation home where we live here. We don't want it to turn into all these people coming in. They don't care about our parks. They don't care about our stuff. They come in and they use it and they leave." And so the taxes are there to make sure that those things stay nice, that you can invest in that kind of stuff. Yeah. And so the wear and tear is taken care of, but also the regulations are separate from that, saying, okay, listen, because of the and regulations come from all different sources. Maybe it's the local community that doesn't want short-term rentals. Well, they just don't want the wear and tear on all their stuff. They don't want when I go to Bear Lake, I didn't like all the people. Some people, right. Some local residents, that's how they feel. Other parts of regulations come because the infrastructure can't handle it, right? And then. But, when you talk to business owners or you talk the amount of money being spent on these communities and the taxes, but also the amount of money that the consumer is spending in these markets, it boosts that economy, the local economy for a lot of these local restaurants. And, there's people who host experiences and different things that they're doing in those areas that if without the influx of travelers, those businesses falter. So there's a benefit to a lot of these communities, and sometimes as an investor we talk all about the benefit, but there's also a drawback because you're saying, hey, listen, is all the hospitality tax we're bringing in, those massive dollar amounts you mentioned at the beginning of this, is that actually keeping up all of our stuff? Right. Are we reinvesting to handle this influx of buyers? Now that's a whole different debate, and I think that you and I both agree that we're not so sure that any government entity spends money correctly, right? And so I think that's the other argument.
Right. I want to use this kind of point to maybe transition into our next one about how we've kind of seen a little bit of travel change, at least what this article is saying from Coastal, because when you look at this Airbnb, this is the same article, you scroll down and you can see where the amount of taxes are coming from. You see something like Florida, 439.1 million in taxes collected, but then you look at somewhere like Tennessee, 156, Utah's only 57. So would this be a good indicator of seeing where a lot of money is being spent, or is this just an indicator of no, these people just charge a crap ton on taxes? Does that make sense? Could you look at this and be like, oh, I probably shouldn't go to Ohio because there's only 5.8 being spent?
Yeah, I think that this map that you're showing right now, to me, would be more of an indicator of the higher demand markets where the consumer is spending money. Okay. Now, tax rates do change across the board and across different areas, and so you will have higher taxes collected in certain areas more than other areas, and so that is true that you can see that. But I think what we're looking at is an overall hospitality dollar amount tax collected. That's a pretty good indicator of the higher demand. Where the consumers are spending money.
Okay.